Surviving the Modern Workplace: Why Hard Work Isn't Enough and What Actually Determines Success at Work, by C. Aloui, Ph.D.
Preface. Why I had to write this book. It was 2 a.m. on a Wednesday, and I was staring at my laptop screen, finishing a presentation for a client meeting that morning. My daughter had been asleep for 5 hours. I'd missed dinner with my family again. I was exhausted, stressed, and running on coffee and anxiety. I paused mid-slide and asked myself a question I'd been avoiding for months. Why am I doing this? Not, why am I working late tonight? I knew that answer. The presentation was due in 6 hours. But deeper, why was I in this career? What was I actually getting from this exchange? Was the money worth the time I was trading? Was any of this actually making me happy? I didn't have good answers. The presentation went well. The client was pleased. My manager praised my work. Then I went home and had the same realization I'd had hundreds of times before. None of this meant anything to me. I was succeeding by every external measure: good salary, impressive title, prestigious company, while feeling completely hollow inside. I was 34 years old, and I finally understood. I was winning at a game I'd never chosen to play.
The conversation that changed everything. 6 months later, I had coffee with a former colleague who'd left our firm 2 years earlier. I'd assumed he'd moved to a competitor for more money. Instead, he told me he was doing fractional CFO work. 5 clients, 50 hours per week total, making similar money but with complete control over his time and energy. "Don't you miss the stability?" I asked. He laughed. "What stability? You can be fired any time for any reason. I have 5 clients. That's more stable than one employer. And I'm not pretending to care about strategic initiatives I know are bullshit, or attending meetings where my voice doesn't matter, or sacrificing my life for a company that would replace me in 2 weeks." Something shifted in that conversation. Not immediately. I didn't quit the next day. But a seed was planted. For the first time, I saw clearly that the life I was living wasn't the only option. The castle wasn't the only structure in the kingdom. Over the next 3 years, I transitioned out of traditional corporate employment. I made mistakes. I learned hard lessons. I discovered that the problems I'd thought were specific to my company or my industry were actually systemic, embedded in how modern work is structured. I also discovered that almost nobody tells you the truth about how corporate life actually works. The truth they don't tell you. Business schools teach strategy, finance, marketing, operations. They don't teach you that corporate advancement is more about managing up than managing tasks. They don't teach you that your ideas will be stolen, your voice will be ignored, and your loyalty will never be reciprocated. Career advice books tell you to find your passion, be a team player, work hard, and you'll be rewarded. This is, at best, incomplete. At worst, it's propaganda designed to extract maximum labor for minimum compensation. Your manager tells you to speak up if you have concerns. Then you speak up, and suddenly you're not a team player, or too negative, or not ready for the next level. Your company says, "We're all family here." Then they lay off 10,000 people to boost quarterly earnings and protect executive bonuses. You work 60-hour weeks, sacrifice weekends, miss your kids' events, and deliver exceptional results. Your reward? A 3% raise and more responsibility. Meanwhile, your colleague who does half your work but excels at office politics gets promoted. You start to wonder, is it me? Am I missing something? Am I not good enough? Why does this feel so wrong when I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do? Here's the truth. It's not you. The system is working exactly as designed. What this book is about. Modern corporations aren't meritocracies. They aren't collaborative partnerships. They aren't innovative cultures where the best ideas win. They're feudal structures, hierarchies designed to concentrate wealth upward while extracting maximum value from workers. The language has changed from Victorian times. We say stakeholders instead of lords, human capital instead of labor, but the structure remains remarkably similar. There are three tiers: the owners, shareholders, executives with significant equity, people whose wealth comes from ownership rather than labor. They profit whether you work 40 hours or 80 hours per week. Your hard work generates returns they capture. The managers, middle and upper management, who oversee workers on behalf of owners. They're better compensated than workers, but ultimately serve at the pleasure of ownership. Their job is to ensure maximum productivity while protecting ownership interests. The workers, everyone trading time and labor for a paycheck, including you. Even if you make six figures, even if you have senior or director in your title. If you don't own significant equity and would face financial crisis if you stopped working, you're a worker. This book is about understanding this structure, navigating it without being destroyed by it, and deciding whether to stay in it or build alternatives. What this book is not. This isn't a rah-rah inspiration book about finding your passion and loving Mondays. Those books exist. They're well-intentioned. They're also largely useless because they ignore the structural realities of how corporate life actually operates. This isn't a book about getting rich quick or crushing it through hustle. I'm deeply skeptical of hustle culture, which is just another form of exploitation, except you're doing it to yourself. This isn't a book that will tell you everything will be fine if you just work harder, think more positively, or manifest your dreams. That's magical thinking dressed up as advice. This is a book about seeing clearly, understanding power structures, making strategic choices based on reality rather than propaganda, protecting yourself, knowing when to stay and when to leave, finding meaning despite meaningless work, building alternatives if you choose to. Who this book is for. If you're just starting your career, this book will save you years of confusion. You'll understand the real rules before you waste time being confused by the fake ones. If you're a young professional in a big corporation, this book will explain why hard work isn't translating to proportional rewards, why your voice doesn't seem to matter, and what actually determines who advances. If you're a mid-career professional, this book will help you decide whether to continue climbing a ladder you're not sure you want to be on, or whether it's time to build something different. If you've been in corporate life for decades, this book will validate experiences you've had but couldn't quite name. You'll recognize patterns you've seen but didn't have frameworks to understand. If you're miserable in your job but can't articulate why, this book will give you the language. The confusion will lift. You'll see that you're not crazy. You're experiencing exactly what the system is designed to make workers experience. If you're already planning your exit, this book will help you do it strategically rather than impulsively, with preparation rather than just hope. How to read this book. The first chapters, 1 to 4, lay the foundation, explaining the feudal structure, the three tiers, and how the system actually operates. This is the seeing clearly phase. It might be uncomfortable. You might disagree. That's fine. Keep reading. The middle chapters, 5 to 10, are about survival, the real rules of meetings, why your voice doesn't matter, how to protect yourself through documentation and alliances, and when to recognize it's time to leave. These are practical tools you can use immediately. The later chapters, 11 to 14, are about meaning and alternatives, how to maintain your humanity while operating in systems that don't value it, what paths exist beyond traditional employment, how to prepare for the future, and how to integrate everything into a coherent strategy for your life. You can read it straight through, or you can jump to the chapters most relevant to your current situation. Each chapter is designed to stand alone while building on the others. Some chapters will resonate deeply.
Others might feel less relevant to your experience. Take what's useful, leave the rest. This isn't dogma, it's a map. Use it to navigate your own path. A note on tone. This book is direct, sometimes blunt, occasionally cynical, but not hopeless. I'm not writing to make you feel good. I'm writing to tell you the truth as I've experienced it and observed it across hundreds of corporate careers. Some of those truths are uncomfortable, but understanding uncomfortable truths is better than operating from comfortable lies. Clarity is power. Confusion serves the system, not you. I'm also not writing from a place of bitterness. I'm grateful for what I learned in corporate life. I built valuable skills. I met remarkable people. I earned money that gave me options. Some of my corporate jobs were even enjoyable at times. But I'm also clear-eyed about what those environments were. Structures designed to extract value from labor and transfer it to capital. Understanding that doesn't make me angry. It makes me strategic. That's what I want for you. Not anger or resignation, but clarity and strategy. The ability to make conscious choices about how to navigate these systems or build alternatives. What you'll gain. By the end of this book, you'll understand why corporate life often feels confusing and unfair. It's not you, it's the structure. How to protect yourself through documentation and alliances. What actually determines who advances. It's not what they tell you. When to stay and how to optimize that choice. When to leave and how to do it strategically. What alternatives exist beyond traditional employment. How to prepare for the rapidly changing future of work. How to find meaning even when work feels meaningless. How to maintain your humanity in systems designed to extract it. More importantly, you'll stop feeling crazy. The gap between what work is supposed to be and what it actually is, you'll understand that gap. It's not your failure to understand, it's the system working as designed. A warning. This book might change how you see your workplace permanently. Once you see the feudal structure clearly, you can't unsee it. Once you understand that meetings are theater and your voice doesn't matter by design, you can't go back to believing the official narrative. Some people find this liberating. Others find it depressing. Most experience both at different times. What I can promise is that understanding how the system works gives you power to navigate it strategically. Confusion keeps you vulnerable. Clarity creates options. Whether you stay in traditional corporate employment or build alternatives, you'll do it with open eyes rather than false hopes. Let's begin. For 15 years, I operated within corporate feudalism without fully understanding it. I thought I was bad at politics. I thought I wasn't working hard enough. I thought I was missing something everyone else understood. I wasn't missing anything. I was seeing clearly and being confused because the reality didn't match the propaganda. This book is what I wish someone had given me on my first day of corporate employment. It would have saved me years of confusion, frustration, and self-doubt. I can't give you those years back, but I can give you the frameworks to navigate the years ahead. The castle is real. The feudal structure exists. Your confusion is rational. Your frustration is justified. Now let's figure out what you're going to do about it. Welcome to the real world of modern work. Let's navigate it together.